This is the 6th video in the Making MS Word Work for You series. And what we're going to be looking at here is auto captions. Yes, you might be going, surely there is an auto way to get Word to just give me captions that go 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 auto. There is a way to do that, but it involves a number of rather complicated steps before you get to that, and probably quite a lot of fighting with your Word document. If, like me, you can make Word do cool things for you, but you're not actually working for Microsoft and you're not actually a Microsoft Word funder. You really just need it to do basic things for you to get from the beginning of this process to the end. So I'm going to show you a version that works for me, that's fairly low tech. It does require a little bit of manual keeping track, but you should actually have a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet of all of the tables and figures in your thesis by chapter. You should have a list of the captions for them so that you're keeping track, especially if you've got many figures and tables, different graphs for results, different figures of things that you've drawn for your thesis, different tables. You may have a thesis where there's hardly any figures and tables. You may have a thesis where there are many. If you have more than 10 figures and tables across your entire thesis, you really should have an Excel spreadsheet tracking what all of those figures and tables are, which chapters they go into, what captions you're giving them, etc., etc. So this should be relatively straightforward if you are keeping track of them like that. Okay, so how this works is you're going to come down to your first figure that you need to give a caption for. I don't have any tables in this chapter. I'm using figures. The same thing would apply for an image or for a figure or for a table. It's the same process. Okay, so what you've got is a heading that you've tapped, all right? And this is chapter 1 of my thesis. So I want this to be figure 1.1. I don't want it to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way to 100 or 20 or whatever the number is by the end of the thesis. I want each discrete chapter to have its own set of figures and tables. So I want 1.1 to 1.7 for chapter 1. I want 2.1 to 2.4 for chapter 2. I want table 2.1, 2.2 for chapter 2. So I want things to be numbered really, really neatly. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to put my cursor where I want this heading to be. I'm going to come over here to references and I'm going to click on insert caption, right? So what I'm going to do is click on format, and I'm just going to double check that it says 1, 2, 3. I'm not including the chapter number, and I want a separator as a full stop, and you'll see what I mean by that right now. So I'm going to say, okay. All right. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to manually type in figure 1.1. And then I'm going to say generic semantic gravity ways for a heuristic writing tutorial, okay, which is the name of this figure. And I'm going to say, okay, right. So I can now take this one out because the auto one is now replaced the manual one that I typed. Now, I've looked into this. It doesn't seem to be possible, as you can do with automatic headings for chapters, or automatic headings, where you can modify the font and all the rest of it. It doesn't seem to be the case. There's no real box to do that here for insert captions. So you just manually format it. I want it to be underlined. I want it to be in black colored text. I want it to be in Times New Roman, which is the font of my document. And I want it to be in size 12. Do I have a spelling mistake there? No, I don't. I don't know why it's picking that up as a spelling mistake. Anyway, it'll correct itself. Okay, so I'm going to come down to my next figure, right? And this now needs to be 1.2. So I'm going again to say references, insert caption. Here, I'm now going to, now, this is the thing. Word is going to automatically number these now. And because I'm not playing with multi-level headings and all of the frustration, it's not going to actually be recognizing my chapter numbers. You see, it's not including the chapter number. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. It's a little bit of a faff, but I'm going to do this, right? what is it called? It's called example of the tutor's initial analysis on the whiteboard. That is not how you spell that. Whiteboard. Okay. I'm going to put that in. Now, I'm going to delete the one that I had there before because the auto one has replaced it. I'm going to come over here and format it really quickly. So again, I had underline, I had Times New Roman, I had size 12, and I had black colored font. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in front of this too, and I'm just going to tap 1 point. So it's figure 1.2. Okay. I'm going to come down here and do one more for you, and then I'll show you what this looks like when you put a table together. And this will work for however many figures you have. So here I'm going to go to the beginning of this. I'm going to say references, insert caption, figure 3, okay? And then I've got example of peer on a writing tutorial, which is the name of this caption. I'm going to put it there. I'm going to take this out now because I don't need it there anymore. I'm going to say underline, Times New Roman, font size 12, black colored font. I'm going to put the cursor in front of the 3 and say 1.3. Okay. Now I'm going to zoom back up to the top and insert a table, and then you'll see what this looks like. Let me just take that out really quickly. And I'm just going to put in a blank page. I'm going to go to insert blank page because this is where I want my table to be. I'm going to come back here to references, and next to this insert caption is insert table of figures. And you're going to hit that button. And what is going to happen is this screen is going to pop up. So I wanted to just pick up the labels that I have in my text, and I wanted to use my template. I don't want it to change the font. I want it to come up in the font of my page template, which was one of the first videos that we looked at in this series. So I'm going to say, okay, and that will come up. It's reading my text now and the page numbers, and it's picking up 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Okay, so one more. I'm going to go down to the fourth one. Now say that you now have to add another figure, or you have to relabel one of your figures. So we're going to see what it looks like to update the table really quickly. So I'm just going to insert a caption here, and I'm going to say heuristic, gravity wave, and I'm going to say, okay, take the one I typed there before out, right? I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to format it really quickly. So I'm going to go Times New Roman, underline, size 12, black colored font, and I'm just going to put the cursor in front of the 4 and say 1.4. Okay, and then I'm going to come back up to my table. And same as you do with an automatic table of contents, if you want to update it, what you need to do is you need to highlight the table, you need to right click, and you need to say update field. Again, it'll ask you the same as it does with an automatic table of contents. Do you want just to check the page numbers, or do you want to update the entire table now? I've made changes that actually require more than page numbers. I always click update entire table just in case I've missed something. Word will reread my document and it'll go, oh, you've added something. There you go. There's 1.4. So the key is to, if you're going to add the 1.2, 1.2, 1.2, 1.3, 2.1, 2.2, if you're going to do that but manually, is to add it after you've created the automatic caption. Because then anything you put into that caption, if you come down here, for example, and you think, why am I saying heuristic? I don't need that word. That's a silly word. I'm going to take that out. I'm just going to say for a writing tutorial. And you come back up here and you highlight this and you right click and you update field and you update the entire table, and Word rereads your document. It's going to see, oh, you've taken that out. Okay, that's fine. We'll just delete that word for you. So what you can do with automatic captions then is basically And if you haven't typed a I mean, I had already done this manually. So what I was doing was replacing my manual titles. Of course, you can actually just, if, for example, you had a table, let's say, you had a table here, you could just, without anything typed there, come over here to references, say insert caption, and write, okay, you want now the label. See, this is quite useful. I can show you this. So you've got labels of equation you can use, which will then say equation 1. You can say figure 1. These are a bunch of labels I created, or you can say table. Okay, so what you want to do then with label, if you're putting in a table, you're putting in equation, or if you actually have an image or a plate, for example, if you're doing something with art, you can create that. You can say new label and you can put in plate and it'll change that. You can put a new label, then you can say, I want image, and you can put that in and it'll pick that up and it'll add it to your list. Okay, so I now want to put in a table. So I'm going to change my label to table and it's going to put in table 1. And then I want to say attendance statistics for the writing center, May to September 2017. And I'm going to put that in. And there it'll put it in. Okay. So again, I can come back here. I can say same as before, Times New Roman 12, black color text, underline. And because this is chapter 1, table 1.1, I'm going to put that in there. Oops. Okay, right. So if you have figures and tables, they're going figures, tables, plates, images. If you've got different kinds of things going on, you're going to have to create a separate table for each of them, a separate page for each of them. So this page would then become list of figures. Okay, and like your automatic table of contents, you're going to come and say that's actually a first level heading. Okay, and then you're going to come here and call this list of tables. Oops, sorry, that's a spelling mistake. Tables. And then I'm going to say this is also level 1 heading. I don't know why it's putting that chapter 1 in there. This is a hangover from when I was trying the multi-level analysis. It won't do that on your document. Just ignore that. And then if you had plates, for example, if you had like if you were doing an art history PhD, you might have plates or you might have images. You just change this to whatever it is. And then show you this one more time. What you do, if you have figures and you have tables, is for this list, you will come to references and you'll say insert table of figures and you'll choose figure. So Word will read the document and every heading that says figure, it will pick up and put in here. If you're doing a list of tables, you'll come down and you'll say, please look for the word table. And every automatic caption you've created that has the title table will be read and put into here. If you also, for example, have to have plates, if you added those, it'll read the document. So it'll separate it out. And then basically you'll be able in your prelims to have your list of figures, your list of tables, because you've given those an automatic heading. Once you go back and do your final automatic table of contents, those will be part of it and they will have a page number because they will be part of the document that you've created. So hopefully that's helpful. Have a play around with it. See if you can figure it out yourself. Come back to this video as many times as you want to. You can always ask Word for help as well by using the help or tell me button, which can often be quite helpful. And let me know if you have any feedback on the series and if there's anything else you want us to add to it.